I'm Sunny Muffin, and this is my Octopath Traveler Ophilia No Reset Run submission for Summer Games Done Quick 2019. So Ophilia is the cleric type character of Octopath Traveler. She has one of the more interesting speedrun routes. Her route basically goes and gets Primrose, which we then use to allure a individual to basically to debuff our enemies. This allows us to skip Therian, which most of the other runs get, as a buffer to the damage, essentially. So this route has quite a bit of RNG, but you mitigate it in various different ways, and there's lots of backups that you can do in order to make sure that you complete the run pretty consistently. So this is the first chapter of Ophilia. Basically what I'm doing right here is just running around Flame's Grace, doing all the cutscenes, getting all the story elements out of the way so I could progress onto the first boss and really open up the game. After the first boss, the world just completely opens up, and that makes it really easy to go into higher level areas, get a bunch of money, get a bunch of soul stones, which will enable me to speed up the remainder of the early game a lot. So Ophilia, her first chapter has quite a few cutscenes, but we're done with them right there. So now we're going to go ahead off into the Cave of Origin. But first I need to pick up some supplies, so we go ahead and buy the staff, the quartz rod for her here. This will speed up my boss kills for the first two bosses, because it makes her deal more magic damage. I'm going to go and guide this dude right here. He has an ability called Summon Winds, which hits 3 times when he casts it, so it's about a 50% chance to cast. And the Summon Winds ability hits the bosses 3 times, which will start breaking down their weaknesses, which I'll explain here in just a minute. So this area, so Octopath is on a weird step counter type thing. It's not like a traditional step counter where you can know after like 17 steps I'm going to get an encounter, but it's more as you take more steps, the more likely you are to get an encounter. So most screens are pretty predictable, but some of them are variable. So like this screen right here, if my movement is really good and I'm really lucky, I can do it in 1 encounter. But unfortunately here, I'm not that lucky, and I get a double encounter, which is really bad, and it can waste a lot of time, but I get my first turn fleet. So just kind of moving on, heading into the Cave of Origin here, a couple mandatory cutscenes. I would say 90% of cutscenes in this game are skippable. All you do is hold down the B button, and it brings up that little icon that skips the cutscene. And that makes this game very quick to run. Some of them you do have to like mash A through if it's just chat bubbles and things of that nature, but not a big deal. It does wind up being very quick in the long run. So we're getting some encounters here. Basically what I'm doing is in this game, every enemy has a set of weaknesses. It's going to be weaknesses to either the schools of elemental magic or weaknesses to the different weapon types. And most enemies have a handful, like they'll have 4 or 5. Some of the later enemies might only have up to as minimum of 2 weaknesses that you do have to kind of like bend your party in order to hit those weaknesses to break the enemy. So you see right here, this is the first boss of the game. This is the Guardian. He has 5 weaknesses. That's those question marks. I don't know them yet because I haven't hit him with those attacks yet, but obviously I've played this game before. I have them all memorized. So Wind is one of them. You see here, the Tavern Patron doing his work. He goes ahead and hits the boss with his Wind attack, which breaks 3 of the shields away, which is really fast because all Ophilia can do is 1 at a time. So once the boss is broken, they take more damage, and they also don't act the turn that you break them, as well as the next turn that they're up. That's going to be really important in later fights, because it's going to enable me to like set up turns in order to go and defeat those really difficult bosses at very low level. So this boss is pretty basic. All I'm doing is going to summon this Tavern Patron. The only real thing you can do to speed this up is to get lucky with the Tavern Patron's Wind attack. Basically, the more he does it, the faster your time is going to be. So just doing some cleanup here. This is a little bit of a slow pattern. I'm going to take an extra turn to kill him. Had my Tavern Patron winded right there, I could have killed him this turn, and it would have been a really good time. But this isn't too bad. So once he's broken, I go ahead and use my boost power. You can see in the upper right corner, I have a number of boosts enabled. Every turn you get one, unless you used a boost on the turn before. So you can go ahead and power up your attacks using that, which is really, really important in order to deal a ton of damage. The more you boost it, the more damage you deal. Melee attacks, if you boost them, they will attack that many times. So if I were to boost my staff attack 3 times, I would hit 3 times. So, and so on. It's very, BP management becomes very, very important later in the run. As you can imagine, I have a very limited time to kill the bosses before they kill me, as well as I want to kill the bosses as quickly as possible because this is a speedrun, and I like to go fast. Alright, so chapter 1 for Ophilia is complete. The next thing I'm going to do, and it's basically the goal of most of these single story routes, is to get the passive skill called Evasive Maneuvers. So what I'm doing right now is I'm going to make a beeline for Cyrus's area. In this game, after you complete your character's chapter 1, you can recruit these 7 other characters. You can only have 3 in your party at any time, so I'm going to go ahead and start building my party. And then, so Cyrus is going to be the first one I get because scholars get an ability called Evasive Maneuvers. After they learn 2 of their other spells, they unlock it. What Evasive Maneuvers does is it makes it so I'm less likely to get random encounters. As you can imagine, the less random encounters I get, the better and the faster this run is going to go. So like similar to Pokemon games, you want to make sure you get those repels as quickly as possible. In this game, you want to get your Evasive Maneuvers as quickly as possible. So interesting thing here, if I surprise my foe, it's a 100% guaranteed flee. So that is something I do like to see a lot of. Especially in this early section, because basically every encounter through this section wastes about 15 seconds. If I get a first turn flee, that goes down to about 10. If I get a surprise, it goes down to about 13. I'm going to get a pretty set number of encounters on my way to Cyrus's area, which is completely fine, and it's kind of built into the game. All you really do is you break them and you go ahead and flee from them, and that's the most consistent way to get through here. You can do what we call YOLO flee, which is where you just kind of flee from the encounter before you even break it. If you get really lucky, that saves a bunch of time because you don't have to waste a turn breaking the encounter. Alright, so here we are in Atlas Dam. I'm going to go ahead and recruit Cyrus as my first party member. Cyrus is this game's black mage character. He does all the elemental magics and things like that. But like I said, the main thing that we want from him is the skill Evasive Maneuvers. So I go ahead and skip his story right here, go and grab him, and then right away I'm going to use his path ability, which is Scrutinize, in order to get a couple of hidden items around Atlas Dam. So right here I'm going to pick up a Light Soul Stone. I need that for the boss fight. I'm going to get a medium Light Soul Stone up here, which will be used a little bit later for some JP farming. JP is this game's skill points, essentially. So the more JP I get, the more new skills I can learn. It won't be used too much because you really don't need a ton to beat the game, and I want to do it with as few skills as possible because it just takes time to learn new skills. Alright, so moving on, I went ahead and bought another staff for Cyrus because this boss fight I'm not going to be able to really cheese. I'm going to kind of have to do it the intended way, and the more damage that Cyrus deals, the better and the faster this boss fight's going to go. So making my way through here, I need to pick up there's a Light Soulstone drop here that I need to, a Light Soulstone chest that I need to pick up. And what that's going to do is, I need 2 Soulstones, and the Guardian had a chance to drop one. He didn't drop it, so I need to go get the backup here. But I need those for the boss fight. I do also need to kill 2 encounters here. It's very important that Cyrus has enough JP to learn Lightning Blast right after Wrestle. It makes the Whistlewood have one more good encounter for me, so I can get that Evasive Maneuvers as early as possible. Okay, both of these are really good. You want Cyrus to go first on these. It is completely random who goes first, but this enables me to kill it in 2 actions. If Ophilia goes first, it takes 3 actions. Because right now she is a higher level and she does more damage than Cyrus. Alright, so there's my second Light Soul Stone. I picked up one earlier in Atlas Dam. You can get 3 encounters in the catacombs here. It's pretty, I would say it's about 50-50, but it's not a huge deal. All I would do for the 3rd encounter is just break it and run away. Alright, so here is Russell. So same thing, I'm going to get my Tavern Patron out, and I really want him to do wins, because Russell is between. Alright, this is an okay pattern. So what I'm going to have Cyrus do here is just cast 2 fireballs. Ideally, you want him to act before the adds on both turns, so he can break them before, but right here the add acts before him, which is not a big deal. It's just 1 wasted action, essentially. I'm going to have Ophilia heal Cyrus here, because he's starting to get low, and I don't want him to die. Alright, we're getting a little bit unlucky with the wins. But now what I want to do is use my Soul Stones in order to kill these adds before they get a chance to act again. Because they're the things that can really, really screw up this fight. So 2 Light Soul Stones dispels the adds, and now I'm on to Russell. I'm going to go ahead and just attack both characters. Actually, I'm going to heal with Ophilia, because either way the add is going to break. The add is going to break Russell right now, and then I'm going to have 2 turns to just go ahead and whack at him. Alright, so the Tavern Patron ran away, not a big deal. I'm going to go ahead and resummon him after I do some damage to Russell. So I'm using the max boost, which is 3, and damaging him as much as possible with the spells. I'm going to be a little bit over on BP here. I might actually cap it, which would be, it's not ideal. Basically, if the wind guy did a little bit more wind, we'd be better off. But I do need 2 fully maxed attacks in order to take this guy out. Alright, so the next attack will break him, and we should be good to kill him from there. So, a little bit wasteful on the BP front, but not a big deal. As you can imagine, there's quite a bit of variability in these first couple fights because of the wins, but generally you can't lose really more than a minute on these fights. Alright, so I'm going to get a prompt here that I need to mash through. Those tutorial screens you have to hit B, which is kind of weird because most of the time you're holding B. Just knowing when those pop-ups are going to happen really helps to speed up the game because you just know to mash B at those points. Okay, so we just have a couple of finishing up Cyrus's story right here. He just has a couple of cutscenes that we need to go hit, and then we will be moving on to the Whistlewood. Yeah, get around the corner. And like I said, it's pretty important for Cyrus to learn Lightning Blast right there. There's a couple of encounters with the ants that I can get on the way to Whistlewood. The only way that I can break them is Lightning Blast. So being able to break them is pretty quick. And additionally, for a marathon setting, I would want to basically grind encounters here in case Whistlewood is meeting me. So like this encounter, I wouldn't be able to kill if I didn't have that Lightning Blast attack. But I do, so we're going to go ahead and kill it right here. So these ants are really, really good for the job points that they give. So in the case of getting a bad Whistlewood encounter, which there's 6 encounters I can get in Whistlewood, and 3 of them are bad. But now I can take more of them because I got this JP off the ants. So it kind of reduces the RNG. By grinding a couple of encounters here. So Whistlewood is like the section of most of these characters' single story runs that is basically the run breaker. It's usually pretty RNG once you get. Ophilia's route, you have the opportunity to kind of grind a little bit before you hit Whistlewood, which opens up some more of those encounters. Other single story characters, like when you run here with Cyrus, you have to get a good Whistlewood encounter because he can't kill anything outside Whistlewood. So basically what I'm doing is grabbing the chest And then we do what is affectionately called torch manip, where you run around this torch. It doesn't actually manip anything, but we feel it does. This is one of the example of a bad encounter. I'm still gonna kill it. You just kill with that light soulstone that I scrutinized earlier, and now I go ahead and check JP. So Cyrus is 8 JP off. I need him to have 100 JP in order to have him learn evasive maneuvers. So what I'm going to do right now is just go ahead and get another encounter. Most encounters work here in order to get that final 8. There are ones that are obviously better than others. Like this encounter is really good. I know that this is going to give the JP that I need. So I'm going to go ahead and break it with Ice Wind. And then the boosted Ice Wind should kill it.
Well then.
Alright, so this enables Cyrus to learn Blizzard and evasive maneuvers. You want to go a little bit slow here, because you can soft lock the game if you go through that menu too quickly. Usually, like, mistakes in this run aren't super punishing, because the game autosaves pretty much every single screen transition. So I can make a couple of flubs and reload the autosave, and it's not a huge deal. That makes this game pretty marathon safe, and this route a little bit easier to deal with. Alright, so what I'm doing right now is I'm running to go start my first collection phase. In this run, I need a lot of money, I need a lot of soul stones, and I need to unlock all the locations that I'm going to need a little bit later. So right now I'm running down to Tressa's area. We're going to go ahead and tag her area. So this is Ripple-Tide right here. Just to go ahead and be able to teleport to it later, I'm going to go ahead and just punch into Ripple-Tide right now. So my next goal is to go to Cobblestone, which is Ulberic's starting area. We'll go ahead and tag that. I do need to pick up the light soulstone that's on the road right here, just because I didn't get the drop on Russell. So I need that for potentially for Mystery Man and Shady Figure, which is a boss later on. It's a damage range, so the light soulstone just kind of makes it guaranteed. It's actually very lucky to get through that screen without an encounter. You get one probably 70 to 80% of the time. So here's that light soulstone I was talking about. There's a money chest up here that I don't actually need, but I'm going to grab it just for safety reasons. And this part of the run is pretty low-key. This would be a really good time if this gets into the marathon for some donations. So this encounter I can break, it just takes a while. So I'm just going to go ahead and try to flee from it. It's not a dangerous encounter because this is a pretty low-level area. It just might take some time to flee from it. In this game, you're guaranteed to flee from an encounter after the 4th time you try to flee from it. And we kind of theorize that that rate just goes up as you try more flees. So right there I got it on the 3rd, which is kind of bad. It wastes some time, but it's not the biggest deal in the world. Alright, so making my way over to Cobblestone. I'm going to go ahead and tag Ulberic's area. I do need to warp back here later, so it's important that I get it right now. I don't actually get Ulberic in this run. He's pretty... I wouldn't say he's useless in this run, but the characters that we have, so we basically need Cyrus for evasive maneuvers. I'm going to be grabbing Tressa for basically because she's a merchant. Merchants in this game deal a ton of damage and they're very, very good. And then I also need Primrose because of her allure ability. And that's how I go ahead and skip Theron from that point. So just kind of making my way down here. My next goal is I'm heading over to the Merchant Shrine, and then I'm going to head to Goldshore and to Grandport. So this screen is infamous for killing runs. There's a couple things you can do to make this safer though, one of which I'm doing. You can go ahead and reload the area. So anytime you go through a screen transition, you basically reset your encounter rate. So right there, my encounter rate was going up that entire time, and now it's back down to 0. So it makes this run up to this shrine very, very safe. So heading up here. The other thing you can do, which I'm going to show off on this screen coming up, to reduce your encounter rate is to go ahead and save and quit the game. So there's a save point up here. I'm just going to go ahead and save and quit because now I'm starting to get into those higher level areas where an encounter is almost certain death. So I'm going to go ahead and save and quit here. That resets my encounter weight, and now I can make it all the way over to the Merchant Shrine. No big deal. I know that I'm not going to get an encounter. So kind of the way the map is laid out is the center area is all like lower level areas, and then as you move out from the center area, it becomes higher and higher level stuff. So right now, I'm basically heading out like the Grand Port. It's kind of like a wheel, the Grand Port spoke in the wheel, in order to get some high level items to speed up the rest of my collection. Additionally, Ophilia needs to have Gold Shore unlocked for her chapter 3. So it's not like I'm going over here for nothing. I do eventually need to come this way. It's just much, much later in the run. So moving up here, these next screens are really, really scary. If I do get an encounter if I get an encounter here, it's likely death. And on the way to Grandport, which is the next city after Gold Shore, if I get an encounter there, it is almost certain death. And a death in this game wastes about 45 seconds, which obviously in a speedrun is not what you want to have happen. So this guy has a large soulstone for me. I'm going to go ahead and scrutinize that. It's another hidden item. So scrutinize basically, there's a couple different things you could scrutinize. The main thing that I'm going to be using it for is hidden items. You can also scrutinize, there's like certain buffs that you can get. You can make it so like your provokes are better, you can make it so your steals have less chance of failing, things like that. But in this run, the main thing I use it for is hidden items. So kind of moving up through here. Again, these screens are very, very unsafe. If you get an encounter here, you're dead. That's just how it works. But we have a couple of strats to make these screens safer. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to go ahead and reload the area. So again, reloading the area kind of gets that step counter back to 0, and I'm able to take more steps into the area without getting an encounter. So all of these things that I'm grabbing right now, I'm grabbing soul stones, I'm grabbing money. This is all like really, really tightly routed in this run. The main thing that I use soul stones for is basically extra damage on bosses. And then I mentioned really, really early on in this video that I'm going to be using an allure instead of the traditional Therian armor corrosive. And if I don't get her to use her ability, which is inhibit defenses, it's really, really bad, first off. But in order to make up the damage that I lose from that, I need a bunch of soul stones. So we go ahead, save and reload here, and come down, grab this soul stone, and then we're going to head over to Grandport. I will be returning to Grandport a little bit later to clear out Locke, but that is one of the areas of this run that's variable. So depending on what encounters I get, if I need to back up my inhibit defenses, I will come here depending on what happens later in the run, essentially. It's kind of a backup in case something bad happens. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and build the rest of my party. So Tressa, super important just because she's a merchant. Merchants are broken in this game. At least for single character stories. So go ahead and grab Tressa, and then we're going to go ahead and complete her chapter 1. This section is pretty simple. There's not a lot you can do to optimize your time through here. As with every section in this game, you want to make sure your movement is on point. Basically, it's like a racing game where you want to apex your turns. You want to make sure that you are taking as few of steps as possible because every step just takes more time, and your encounter rate also keeps going up. I know that I'm going to get an encounter on the screen. It's basically guaranteed that that's going to happen. I just want to make sure that I get as far as possible without getting the encounter. These lower level areas, it's really not a huge deal if you get an encounter, you just waste time. But the higher level areas, when you do get one, it's basically death, and that just wastes even more time. Alright, so moving toward Mick and Mac. These next two Chapter 1 bosses are all going to die super, super quickly because I have those high level soulstone items from the higher level areas. So Mick and Mac, all they take is a wind large and they're dead.
Let's do this. Try this on the side.
So that's Tressa's Chapter 1 done. So that goes ahead and recruits Tressa to my team, and she is super, super good. Alright. Couple more cutscene triggers just in order to finish out her story, and then I can move about the world again. The neat thing is, like, the game locks you into the chapter of the character that you're like recruiting. So once I start Tressa's Chapter 1, I can't leave the area. I have to finish her Chapter 1 then. So go and import down to Cobblestone, do a little bit more collection, and then we're gonna go ahead and head off to Helganesh and pick up Primrose. So again, we're going to head out. So this area we don't actually need to go to, but it has a lot of money and has some soul stones that I do need in order to speed up the game. So this detour makes a lot of... It may seem like I'm just kind of running out into an area that I'm not going to come back to, but it does help out a lot in the long run by speeding up fights. In this game, basically money is power. And the more money you spend, the faster the fights are going to be. And there's also 2 soul stones out here that I will wind up needing a little bit later in the run. So there's a medium light right here. I didn't mention that the soul stones, they do come in 3 different sizes, and they do come in basically every elemental type. So there's 6 different like flavors of soul stone, and then there's 3 different sizes. The large soul stones obviously deal the most damage, and those are found in the higher level locations. So I'm heading out right now to the Runeblade Shrine area, and I'm going to go pick up 50,000 money and the medium light soulstone and a large light soulstone right here. This is going to enable me to beat Helganesh really, really fast. So then after this, Ophilia's exploration section is basically done. She has one of these shorter exploration sections because she doesn't really need a ton to finish her story sections. For the most part, like getting your inhibit defenses and getting your allure really enable you to kind of speed up those early sections as well as her mid and late sections of the game. So we're gonna grab that chest, teleport back to Cobblestone, and then I'm gonna go defeat Helganesh and get Primrose. Alright, so this entire route is basically centered on getting this allure. So you saw earlier in the game, Ophilia has the guide ability, which makes it so I can guide a NPC to come with me, and they all have like special abilities, they all do different things, etc., etc. I guess the non-noble version of that is Primrose's allure ability. The non-noble versions, I forgot exactly what they're called, but they're like the amoral versus the moral versions. You can use them regardless of level, but they have a chance of failing. Whereas the moral versions you just can't use if you're too low a level. So like Cyrus has the amoral version, and Alphen has the moral version of Scrutinize. So Cyrus's is obviously a lot better because I can use it even if I'm too low a level for the area. Same thing with Primrose. Primrose has the amoral version, Ophilia has the moral version, so I'm going to use Primrose because Ophilia literally cannot guide the girl that I need to get inhibit defenses. So, Sunshade Catacombs. This is one of my least favorite areas of the game. It's very different. Like, the movement through here is really, really difficult. It's a lot of boxy areas, and in order to make sure that you take as few steps as possible, you want to do diagonals, and you're pretty likely to get an encounter here. I'm fairly lucky that I didn't, because an encounter there can waste a whole lot of time. It's you can get up to 3 to 4 different monsters, and they all have different things that break them, and it's just really, really annoying to try to get through there fast. Alright, so contrary to the Catacombs, Helganesh goes super, super quick, and I just kill him with the Soul Stones. And he's dead, and Primrose is now mine.
I am not made for such battles.
Alright, so this next section, I'm going to go out to Lock of the Lost King, which, like I said earlier, is a little bit of it's a kind of a detour. And you can place it a little bit later in the run, but for marathon safety, I would go ahead and do it right away, because there is a chance, it's a small chance, that I use both of the soul stones that I would use all of the soul stones that I have, and I would need the one from here. In a record attempt or a PB attempt, I would put this much later in the run, and I would kind of take the hand that I'm dealt. And if I use too many soul stones, it's just run over. But now, grabbing them here, the run is fairly safe from this point on. I do have one of the more RNG bits of the run coming up right now. So Allure, like I mentioned, is the amoral version of Guide. And in order to allure the inhibit defense girl, it's a 30% chance. I can fail it up to 4 times. I can fail it up to 4 times. If I fail it a 5th time, I have to reload. So this is one of the areas where you can speed up by having really good RNG. But, like I said, the game auto-saves a lot. So, the game auto-saves a lot. So, failing this here isn't a huge deal, because I could just reload the area very quickly. I do get it pretty fast. So I'm going to purchase a couple pomegranates here. I'm not going to scrutinize that guy. And then Grandport has a lot of money just laying around, so I'm going to go ahead and help myself to it. So I got the Allure on the second try there. That's pretty good. It saves some time getting it that quickly. Some chests here. And now I need to do my first menu of the game. Okay, that was slow. Not a big deal. Kind of got lost there. It's been a while. It's been a little bit since I've run Ophilia, so I just wanted to make sure that I did the menu correctly. The next section of the run, I'm going to run out to Saintsbridge and do Ophilia's Chapter 2. So now I have all 6 members of my party because of the Allure and the Guide. So Saintsbridge is where Ophilia's Chapter 2 takes place. This screen, I can improve consistency on it by saving and quitting, but if my movement's really, really good, I'm not going to get an encounter here. So I'm going to just go for it on this run, but in a marathon setting, I would probably just save and quit, just to make sure that I don't get one here. It's not the end of the world if I do get one. It's fairly quick to go ahead and just break it and flee from it, but obviously any encounter that you get wastes time. Alright, so a couple things I need to do here. So we are basically just kind of progressing through the story here. This is Ophilia's Chapter 2, otherwise known as babysitting. You help these kids basically resolve their conflicts through guiding them and showing them the way. It's kind of cool. I do need to get a couple more soul stones here because soul stones are how I deal damage right now. I don't quite have enough gold for all the hired helps that I need, so I'm going to be using soul stones. Additionally, if I do get the bad RNG and I don't get inhibit defenses, the soul stones will kind of help me bridge that gap. So progressing through story triggers, I need to buy off this guy and then I need to scrutinize him. So like I said, most of the scrutinizes that I use in this run are for hidden items. This scrutinize is to unlock extra items in the shop. So I need those extra items in the shop because that's how I get some HP items so I can actually finish the game. Because some of the later bosses in this run are very, very nasty. So here's Daryl. Daryl needs to be guided. I need to show him the way to help out his friend. So we're going to take Daryl down here. He's going to meet back up with his friend. They're going to go find him, and they're going to go find the necklace in the forest. And we're going to go wander into the forest to help them because they're two kids wandering into the forest. And Ophilia is a very helpful person. So this is Mirkwood Trail. One of the things that could happen here is if I get an encounter, I can use a large soulstone on it, and that is kind of one of the variable things in this run. I don't want that to happen because it's using one of my spare soulstones, but if it does, I'm ready for it. Since I made it to this save point without getting an encounter, I'm going to save and quit so I can save that soulstone. And now I'm going to go ahead and get an encounter in the woods over here, in the Mirkwood. I need to pick up some money here, head into the Mirkwood, and we're going to go defeat Ophilia's Chapter 2 boss, which I cannot say the name of. We have some people on the Octopath community that can say it. It's like Icelandic, I think. It's like Holmtorvir or something like that. I don't know. It's Norse. I can't say it. But yeah, it's a pretty cool boss. He's a wolfy boy. We need to take out the wolfy boy in order to get the necklace back so we can continue the story. Wow, that was a really late encounter. Alright, so basically I'm just going to use a large soulstone on this encounter.
You like that?
It instant kills everything and I don't have to worry about trying to flee.
The show is over.
Very helpful. The XP that I get from it too also kind of helps with my health totals. Like I mentioned, the last couple bosses here, or I guess the last boss primarily, is going to be the one that basically screws up runs. He's very difficult. He does a lot of damage, and I need to be able to live through some attacks, or I cannot beat the game. Alright, so we have Cyrus going first. He's going to defend, so he can break Holmtorvir early on next turn.
I am ready.
I'm going to get my inhibit defenses girl out, and hopefully she casts it, which she does. So that saves me 2 soul stones right there.
My turn now.
Ophilia is going to use Holy Light to help break, and then Tress is going to do some hired help nonsense. But not to deal damage, just to help break. So now Cyrus's Lightning Blast goes ahead and breaks this encounter 100%. Tress is going to throw a soul stone.
What to do? Try this on the side.
Primrose doesn't actually have to do anything here. She gets to kind of sit around and relax a little bit. Let the other people do heavy lifting.
I am ready.
So Cyrus is going to do some damage here just because this hired help that I'm about to do is a range, and I want to make sure that I don't have to do more damage after it. So hired help is the basically the big thing that carries me through some of these fights. And you see right there, it just does a ton of damage at the cost of 30,000 gold. Alright, moving on. My next big thing is I need to buy some items. So that scrutinize that I did earlier unlocked some items in the store, and I need to buy them to kind of equip to my party so they don't die on this next section. First, I need to go ahead and finish off the story section. Ophilia has a lot of areas like this where it's just like, go tag this story area. I'm like, okay, I will. So I need 2 charm robes, 1 for Cyrus, 1 for Primrose, and then 8 of the plus 500 HP accessories, which will give 1,000 extra HP to my entire party, enabling them to live through some attacks that are going to be happening later. So now that my party's all equipped with those, we're going to head to Goldshore and do Ophilia's Chapter 3. Gonna buy some more stuff, gonna get some more soul stones. Just the general thing that I do when I run through towns. Gotta make sure to loot all the stuff that's in the area. Need to buy some more pomegranates here. Those boost BP, which enables me to kind of manage that a little bit better so I can do more boosted attacks throughout a fight. It also gives me the ability to kind of select who I have a lot of BP on, which most of the time will be the merchants because they're the ones that are doing the damage. Oh, wrong one. So we're going to do some more guiding, which is just Ophilia's story thing. There's lots of wayward youth in this continent, and we have to make sure that they get guided to the way of the light. There's that hidden soulstone that I unlocked right here, which I do need. So Daniel's going to get guided right here. We have Daryl and Daniel. They like to run away and just be wayward youth. Those darn whippersnappers. Got to make sure to get them back to the temple, back where they are safe. Alright. So this screen is actually the thing that I need. The area I need to go to is actually really far south of here. It's still in the city, but it's faster for me to teleport out of here and then teleport back in. So I'm going to do something. I'm going to teleport out to Rippletide, and I'm going to grab a soulstone while I'm out here and then teleport back. So I don't actually need this backup soulstone, but like I said, it is a backup. I might wind up needing it later. Come on. Alright. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and finish Chapter 3. So Ophilia's Chapter 3, in my opinion, is one of the worst sections of the game. This road to the seaside grotto, you're really likely to get an encounter, and every encounter here is absolutely terrible. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a quick save and quit. Like, this isn't that far from the entrance, but this little bit really helps this section be consistent so I don't get an encounter. Again, if I were doing like a PB or a like world record run to try to like break a good time, I wouldn't do the save here. I would just kind of go for it, and if I get an encounter, run over. But for safety's sake, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And you got to hit this cutscene trigger right here. Alright, so now we're heading into the Seaside Grotto. We're going to go beat Mystery Man and Shady Figure. Seaside Grotto, it's pretty... there's not a lot of things you do in here. You're not super likely to get an encounter if your movement is good, and there is a save and quit about halfway through, so it makes everything really consistent. One thing I do need to remember to do is heal here, though. because I put all those HP items on my guys, and it doesn't increase your HP right away with them. It just increases your max HP. So I gotta make sure to do that, or else my guys will die to the luminescence attack that Mystery Man and Shady Figure have. So I'm just kind of making my way over to them. These bosses, they're a little bit weird just because there's two of them. And the menuing is just kind of awkward because of that. Alright, so... Alright, Hired Help 800, Palm. So I'm going to go and use a Hired Help Bandits here, which does an axe-based attack. Tressa's going to defend so she could break early next turn. Primrose needs to get the Inhibit Defense Girl out. She basically has 3 chances to inhibit defenses, and I get the very first one, which is really, really lucky. And Cyrus is going to Palm M Tressa. So now Tressa can go ahead and do a Hired Help 800 to break everybody. Well, to break one of them, and then Ophilia will break the other one next turn. So she's going to defend and go ahead and break at the beginning of the next turn.
No, you will not.
Cyrus is going to throw another Palm at Tressa. And since Primrose got the attack first try, I'm just going to go and attack with her. What she does really doesn't matter right now. Just because she already did the inhibit defenses, which is what we needed her to do. So Ophilia is going to go ahead and break right here. Cyrus doesn't need to do anything. Primrose is going to check a Soulstone. And I have extra Soulstones now, which is really nice. And then Tressa should be able to kill them off. And that Light Soulstone I picked up way early in the run would be a backup for right here in case these guys don't die. But they did, so we're good to go there. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and head to the Chapter 4 area of Tressa. The area before Chapter 4 is really dangerous because we're starting to head into those high-level areas again, and we are really low level. So encounters there are pretty bad to get. I know that I'm going to get one, though. And because I know that, I need to have a plan to break it. So I'm going to go to Atlas Dam, and I'm going to guide a character that has the ability Flurry, which is a bow-based attack, and it hits twice, which will break the encounters that I'm likely to get. So, more story sections, so much fun. So I am really lucky that I got that I don't need to pick up any extra soul stones here. This would be the point in the run where I would do it, but since I got pretty good RNG on my inhibit defenses, I don't need to. This is the woman that has Flurry. I'm going to go ahead and guide her, and we're going to head up to Whisper Mill in order to do Ophilia's Chapter 4. So most of these sections, I know that I'm guaranteed to not get an encounter, and even if I did, like, none of the encounters here are hard because they're like level 11, and I think I'm like level 14 at this point, just from XP from beating bosses. So we're going to go into higher and higher level areas until we get up to the Whisper Mill area, which is very high level, and the encounters can kill me, but we're pretty lucky that we know the encounter that you're going to get is fairly guaranteed. It's 2 bird creatures, and they have a pretty high probability of just boosting themselves the first turn. So it's pretty lucky that that's the way it is, otherwise this would be like a terrible RNG section that you just kind of pray for a good encounter. I do need to pick up some more money here, so we're going to grab this chest right here. This has a money item in it, that cat's eye is worth a bunch. As you see, there's no saves or anything anyway, so I know I'm going to get this encounter. So So these guys are weak to bow and spear. It's really bad that I'm caught by surprise. So they're going to get 4 attacks off before I'm able to do anything.
Here I go.
So we're going to go and res Ophilia here because she has the guide on her.
I am ready.
My inhibit defenses girl also has flurry, which is pretty lucky. Cyrus can't do anything to break them, so he just attacks. Cool. Okay, so we should be able to break them here. Flurry keys. There we go. Alright, so they're broken. Now I can go and run away. Nice and easy. I do need to make sure I heal Ophilia before we go into the next encounter, though. Otherwise, she will die. One more. So yeah, the save is all the way up here. There's no way you're getting to it without an encounter. And now we're in Whisper Mill. So moving on to Ophilia's Chapter 4. This is her last chapter, and it has one of the, like, I think personally, like, one of the cooler bosses of the Chapter 4s. Mattias is, like, he's pretty difficult. There's a lot of different things that can go wrong, and there's a lot of backups to, like, for those different things. So, for example, the notes that I'm using, there are 3 different backups depending on when I get inhibit defenses, just to kind of make sure that I'm able to kill him. If he takes more than 3 breaks, I literally can't kill him. That's why the estimate for this run is so high, is because there is that RNG, but I would have to have basically 9 turns of whiffing on inhibit defenses, which is a 1/3 chance. So I'm going to go through, I need to sell some stuff here, I need to buy a couple items. So I need 89,000 gold before I head out here, and I have 90. So the money route on this is pretty tight. I'm gonna pick up 30,000 more in the Ebony Grotto, which is this area right here. So this is the final area of Ophilia's story. This screen right here isn't terribly dangerous. I'm likely to not get an encounter. Her next screen, however, is not like that. This screen really, really sucks. If you get an encounter, it's death, and I've gotten encounters here before, like way before the save point, and it's pretty dangerous. But again, the autosave feature kind of makes it so you don't lose a ton of time if that does happen. And I'm gonna walk here, which makes it pretty close to guaranteed. So I'm going to go and save reload again, and then I'm going to go ahead and grab the final money that I need and move on to Mattias. Alright, so Mattias has a forced encounter before him, and part of the reason that we need a bunch of HP is this forced encounter right here. These guys can throw soul stones. If they throw 2 back to back, I'm dead. It's a wipe 100%. That doesn't happen often, but it can happen. And then I just use soul stones to go and finish these guys off.
I am ready.
So I need to get both of my merchants to go to break them, and then I can go and start throwing soul stones. Alright, cool, we're good. So 2 hired help 150s will break them, and then I need to throw a large soul stone and 2 mediums.
Of action. A gift for you.
I am ready. You like that?
An interesting day. A gift for
So made short work of that encounter. So now we have Mattias. He is very, very difficult. He has almost 100,000 HP, and it takes, ideally I can do it in 1 break. But that requires to have inhibit defenses casted the first turn, as well as to have every single party member live that first turn. So it's much more likely that I'm going to have to move to one of the backups. Which is okay, not a big deal. So Ophilia's going first. She's going to palm herself.
My turn now. This should help.
And we just hope Mattias doesn't kill anybody here. So he killed Prim, which is bad. I'm going to have to move to a backup here.
A tempest of ice shall reign.
What to do?
So I can't res her right now. I'm going to have to wait till next turn.
I'll get my money's worth.
How about this?
So she's probably actually going to die again here.
I'll do my best. Have this. I'll do my best. No, you will not.
What is the logical course of action?
So we're going to go and heal Prim. Start using some soul stones to get some damage in there. I have an extra large soul stone, so I can kind of mess up a little bit and be completely fine. So no inhibit defenses yet. So I need her to heal everybody for that Black Gale. I'm going to go and break Mattias again here.
Let me help.
Think not. A tempest of ice shall reign.
Stay strong.
So my merchants have like a ton of BP right now, and I'm just hoping to get inhibit defenses, which I'm not getting. Which is not good. So we're moving to backup number 3 right now.
Have this.
So I basically need to top everybody's HP off right now.
Do. Let me help.
I am ready.
So she really does not want to inhibit defenses right now. So we're just going to check a soul stone, and we're going to do some defending to go ahead and break him early next turn.
My turn then. My turn now. No, you will not. Here I go.
So this is an example of what can go wrong in this fight.
I'll get my money's worth.
She really doesn't want to inhibit defense. So I basically have one more try at getting inhibit defenses, and if not, I'm gonna have to go and die and reset the encounter, which is part of why the estimate for this category is so high. Still no inhibit defenses. So this is pretty much a dead fight. I'm gonna go ahead and try to kill him. It's probably not gonna work. The extra soul stone kind of gives me a little bit of buffer, but inhibit defenses is worth about 8,000 damage every single time.
A gift for
Oh, sacred light.
Oh, now we get it. Okay, so this is going to have to be a reset encounter. So, like I said, it's about a 50-50 chance every single time for her to use it, and I got really unlucky there with the coin flips. But the estimate for this is about is 110, so I'm able to fail this fight twice and still have enough time to beat the run. So I'm basically just kind of wasting attacks and he's going to die here. So once Mattias has his ads, I can't actually break the ads. I just don't have enough stuff to do it. So like I could break him 3 times and then it's game over. So I'm just waiting for him to kill me. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and use that handy dandy reload feature and we're going to go start the encounter again. So I need to go pick up the money again because the save was before the money. And I need this money to kill Mattias. I also forgot to switch the voice over to Japanese. Japanese is actually faster in this category. The voices, not the actual text. Alright, so same thing. We're just going to go ahead and use a couple hired helps to go ahead and kill these guys. And we just hope they don't soulstone twice. Because that is what can kill me. Alright, no soulstone twice, we're good to go.
I'll get my money's worth. Fight for me.
I am ready. You like that?
An interesting dilemma. A gift for
Try this on the side.
Alright, Mattias round 2.
How is that?
I do love the music in this area. It's really, really nice.
We'll stop you here and now.
Alright, who's first? So Primrose is going to go first, so I'll immediately see what kind of pattern I'm going to get. Alright, so we got inhibit defense turn 1. As long as he doesn't kill anybody, this is the fast pattern. Alright, cool. We have the fast pattern.
Well then. This should help. Here I go.
So he's going to die in 3 turns, because I got the inhibit defense on the correct turn.
My
So Vets is going to break him, and right now I'm going to throw 120,000 gold at this guy. That needs to throw a large soulstone. Cyrus is going to go ahead and palm Tressa.
How about this?
I'll do prepare yourself. Fight for Let's won't hold back. I'll get my
Basically just throwing as many Vets at him as I can, and then everybody else fills in with soulstones.
You like that?
So I was actually 2 stones over because of my good inhibit defense luck earlier. So Mattias is dead, and time is after the second cutscene. I'd like to just thank you guys for watching my Octopath Traveler Ophilia % submission for Summer Games Done Quick 2019, and I hope you have consideration for this run. It's really, really cool. There's a lot of awesome things that I wasn't able to explain that went into routing this, but I personally love this run, and I think this would be a really good fit for the GDQ. Thank you.